2015 Large District Award of Excellence winner from HEB, which is an extraordinary distinction that we get to wear for this entire coming school year. And that really is, again, a testament to all in our community. You won't see this in the video. The video is really going to share with you what some of the moments during the evening in Austin when we were recognized with the award, as well as some parts of a video that was shown at the awards banquet that HEB actually shot when they visited some of our campuses here in the district. But not mentioned in the video, and I want everyone to be aware of this, along with the recognition came $100,000 from HEB. And that $100,000 is being given to the Humble ISD Education Foundation. And that $100,000 this coming fall will support a special open round of teacher grants. So it will be open to all teachers in our district, and hopefully many will choose to apply. So Jamie, if you would please run the video.
The 2015 winner is a district known for a commitment to excellence that began more than 100 years ago in a one-room schoolhouse with 12 students, and now has grown into one of the largest districts in the state of Texas, Humble ISD.
First, I want to thank and congratulate the other amazing large districts that I was privileged enough to stand next to just a few minutes ago. It's really very humbling to be in the same city as being in the same group with them, because they are great, great school districts. It's a work with lots and lots of amazing people, and the least of which is our school board, whose own person reinforces for me and reinforces for everyone in the LISD family that it's only and always about the kids. Nothing else matters. Oh my God, my heart is racing. I mean, this is such a phenomenal honor where it comes from, and that's HEB, and because it really is about our entire community. That's who makes the difference with all of our children. And so this recognition is a testament to that. By far the greatest challenge for Humble ISD has been its growth. We've grown by more than 10,000 students over the past few years. We're slated to grow another 13,500 students over the next 8 years, and just trying to keep up with that growth without taking our eye off the important target of each and every child.
I think our district has really taken the long view, not just what we want our students to be able to do when they leave our district, but who do we want them to be. We have designed a whole class offered to juniors and seniors that allows them to ask the big questions. All these things that I've learned through my education, how can I use these things to actually become a change agent in my local and global community?
Our district is very big into the AVID program. Our middle school is actually an AVID demonstration school, so we're open for other schools that are interested in the AVID program to come visit us. So they get to see a lot of how we do our college prep. We have a college and career corner here where kids get to put in a lot of information about what they'd like to be and how much it would cost for them to go to college to do all that stuff so that they can prepare for things like that.
They do very well for preparing. We know what the subject and like what we're doing, the theme of what we're doing, but we use different topics, different ways of learning it. Like they'll say it to us, they'll show it, and then we'll work in partners and work together to discover the answer.
We all know that building relationships is key with students. If you don't have a good relationship with your students, you're just not going to get the best out of them. And so, if anything in this building, I know that's what we're good at, and that's what I feel like Humble ISD is good at. We focus on relationships first.
What I'd like to do with the generosity of HEB for this recognition is to support our Humble ISD Education Foundation. Our foundation uses funds that they raise to provide grants to classroom teachers for innovative projects. And so I really would like to enhance that.
Take it in, but don't look down. 'Cause I'm on top of the world. I'm on top of the world. Ain't done this for a while now. Paying my dues to the dudes. I've been waiting for something. You're holding in for a while. Take you with me if I can. The dream of this is a job. I'm on top of the world.
No district does more than Humble ISD.
Scott McClellan is our new best friend. Well, let me recognize some of the stars you saw in tonight's presentation. As I mentioned, when the judges visited, that was part of the whole selection process. They visited a couple of our campuses. Lord knows they were in a ton of our classrooms and really spent an entire day with us. You saw Kat McWhorter in the video. Unfortunately, Kat could not be here this evening, but Kat, in addition to teaching at Atascocita High School, one of the campuses the judges visited, Kat also coordinates for our district our service learning and social action efforts. Tammy Alexander, principal of our DAEP. Tammy, if you would please stand. We also saw from Timberwood Middle School, judges spent a lot of time at Timberwood as well, teacher Megan Carranza. Megan, thank you for being here this evening. Awesome Timberwood student, Cheyenne Curry. Cheyenne. And just recognize they're joined here tonight by their principal, Ken Butler. Now, if you thought that was a big deal, it is, but I've got an even more important recognition to introduce tonight. Indeed, a very, very special recognition that we could not be more proud of. To do that, I'm going to ask, and we are very honored to have her with us here this evening, making time out of her schedule to be with us to make this presentation, is the chairman of the Texas State Board of Education, Mrs. Barbara Cardinal.
But I'm term limited out of my chairmanship, which my husband says, so I'll still be on the board, but I will not be chair probably within the next few months. It's time for someone else to take over, and that's a good thing. But as I was thinking about leaving, you know how you think to yourself, what do I want to be the last thing I do that could last? And so the idea of the Student Heroes program came to me. And after visiting with a lot of board members, and we actually had a vote on it, it was unanimous, we decided to start a program that looks at students, not academically, because we do that a lot. We have spelling bee winners and all kinds of kids come to our state board meetings to be recognized for academics. But to me it was important that we have students recognized for their heart, right? For their heart, for their character. And that's something, actually there are several bills in the legislature right now mandating that character education be taught. And I would say that in Humble ISD, it's already being taught. So job well done for that. So I want to ask Barrett to come up here and stand with me because he is my student hero, the very first ever. Know of Barrett, what he's done, but just to reflect a little bit, he's a fifth grader at Foster Elementary. Tell me if I get anything wrong, right? And Barrett had a best friend whose name was Landon. And Landon, you might know, battled cancer. And Landon has passed away. And in his memory, Barrett felt compelled to start fundraising through bike rides, right? Why don't you tell us? All right, tell us how that came about. What do you mean just races? That's on bikes, right? Not just bikes, so you run too. Oh, that's even better. Okay, wow. Tell us how that idea came to you. Can you tell us real briefly?
Well, right after Landon passed away, we had done a race, and it was the Captain Kids Triathlon, and the charity of choice was the L3 Foundation, which is the foundation for Landon. And after the triathlon, I thought that racing was a lot of fun and it helped raise money. So I came up with the idea of doing, my parents and I came up with the idea of doing 10 races a year in honor of Landon.
Awesome. So just briefly, I'm going to tell you what character I see by you doing that. I see honesty because in your letter that you wrote, I don't know if you remember it was going, but it came to me, okay? You said he was a brother from another mother. You said that you never want to see another person in pain or struggling because there isn't a cure to their illness. And that's where Live, Love, Landon came. So that is, to me, honesty. And it took courage for you to face what was happening to your friend, and then to decide that racing was fun, and decide with your parents to start this foundation to raise money. So I think that took a lot of courage. So that's another character trait I see in you. And then finally, I see strength and I see truthfulness, because you said, instead of being sad and mad, I know I can do races that Landon would have liked to have done. I am racing for both of us. And that's that heart right there. And I think that you are an amazing young man. And if you already know all of this at your age in 5th grade, I just say, look out world, because Barrett Kinney is on the move in honor of Landon. And I'd like to recognize Landon's father, Scott, and the courage and character and integrity that you have in supporting this young man and your son's memory. And I would like to, from the State Board of Education, thank you for your support of that and for the gift of Landon while we had him on this earth. So let me get, since I have a big lump in my throat and I need to move on, I have a little surprise for you, some balloons. We have an escapee. But I also have this. So this is the very first Student Hero Award honored in our state. Because there are 14 other students, there are 15 state board districts, so we'll have 15 students, but I beat them all to the punch. The State Board of Education congratulates Barrett Kinney, who has been named 2015 Student Hero for outstanding acts of kindness, charity, and unselfish behavior toward his fellow students, especially Landon. Foster Elementary, Humble ISD, May 2015. There you go.
Mrs. Cargill, thank you again so much. Tara, congratulations. I know you'd love to stay for the meeting, but school's tomorrow. So, we'll just take a second. Thank you all for being with us. It certainly is. It has been special. And Mr. President, if I may, I'm going to ask you to introduce stellar standouts for this evening.
It's always a pleasure to introduce our stellar standouts again this month, no exception. A lot of honors and achievements during the month of April, including state qualifiers in the visual arts scholastic event, and the best of show and viewers' choice art winners from Humble ISD Fine Arts Festival. And as you can see, these scroll by over the next few minutes. Just lots of great things our students are doing, and these will be permanently archived with the others this year on the website. Back to you.
Thank you, Mr. President. And I'm going to ask you to join me out front. And Christy Tarkington, if you would please come to the podium, and we will recognize this month's superstars.
For their outstanding work in advancing student achievement. A drawing is held and 3 honorees receive additional recognition at the school board meeting. This includes a $200 gift card to Papa's Restaurant, thanks to an award sponsor. The sponsor for this month's Super Staffer Awards is Kingwood Orthodontics. Is Dr. Holly McIver with us tonight? We have, okay. Thank you to Kingwood Orthodontics for the support of this month's Super Staffer. Being honored for elementary Super Staffer tonight is Kara Munn with Northbelt Elementary. She's an interventionist. Kara is here tonight with her principal, McCare Davies, as well as her assistant principal, Christina Morris. So those who nominated her said that as a K-2 interventionist and dyslexia specialist, Ms. Munn teaches students reading fundamentals essential to their success. She works diligently as Northbelt's parent liaison to fortify relationships between the school and the families. As a mentor to beginning teachers, Ms. Munn helps direct and guide teachers to implement research-based strategies into their teaching to ensure student success. Ms. Munn can be found helping others throughout the school as she shares her talent, time, and resources. Thank you. Our next super staffer is Anthony Thibodeau. Anthony is with Cambridge. He's a Cambridge School paraprofessional. You want to come on up? So he's accompanied by his principal, Tammy Alexander, with Community Learning Center. So those who nominated Anthony said that Anthony goes above and beyond every day to make sure our students are successful. He responds with a smile and to any request that he is asked with it, and is a true asset to the campus. Thank you for all that you do. Our next super staffer tonight is Raymond Alasko. Raymond is with our maintenance department. Come on up and join us. Raymond is joined by his supervisor, Kenny Kendrick. with the maintenance department. So those who nominated him say that Raymond is a dedicated employee and very knowledgeable in the area of AC and heating. He helps out wherever he is needed. Raymond is closing the gap towards excellence by filling in and doing the job of HVAC technician and HVAC mechanic for most of this school year. He is a true example of supporting learning through service. Thank you again to Kingwood Orthodontics.
Thank you, Dr. Sconzo. And now we will move to questions and comments by patrons or employees of the district regarding agenda or any other matters. I think we have just these two, right? No particular order. Beth Davis. Want to speak on Humble ISD golf classic.
Board, if you don't mind, I'd like to introduce this one first. Right? A little spotlight to golf. Golf coaches that are here today, we got Summer Creek, Mike Carver, Kingwood coaches Jeff Belknap, Susan Willis, and state champion Angela Chancellor with Kingwood Park. 7 years ago, Angela was at Tattoo with me, and we're like, it was my first year, and I was like, let's jump in there and have a fundraiser. And in a quick amount of time, we made $12,000, and Jeff over there goes, well, next year, let's have a fundraiser, let's put it all together. And we were kind of saying, what are you talking about? It's kind of our deal, but the one thing that he did that was really good is he decided to unite us and say, we're really a team here, and let's have a fundraiser for all the golf programs, because at this time there was some talk of cutting budget cuts and stuff like that. So we he kind of brought us to that level to say, yeah, let's bring some attention to just all the golf programs, and so we got together, and of course we need to rely on community and parents. Got them together in a meeting. This one lady took over for a couple years, and she had to pass the torch. So we had fresh young parents, and so I guess it was 5 years ago, sitting quietly, however hungry and ready to go. And I just got to tell you this: I know my words aren't going to do justice for this woman, but for the last 4 years, she is probably the best athlete you want. She is a fiery competitor. She sets goals up here, and she really rallies her team, and she'll look you in the eye and say, no, you're not doing this, you got to do this, do that, and she really delegates. And overall, I don't want to, cut the other parents, not giving them enough attention, because they really rallied behind her. But I'll tell you, she's laid some solid foundations, because some other people we've heard tonight, she's also passing the torch, unfortunately. But again, she's laid a solid foundation. We've developed a executive committee, so we've got this thing going. She's going to do a great job on this. But without further ado, I want you to please acknowledge Beth Davis.
So thank you, and thanks. And one of the things I will have to say is that it takes an army to do this. This is not something that one person can do. And these coaches behind me, they rally that army. So first lieutenant, so we've got it all down, and I did want to talk a little bit about this year's Humble ISD Golf Classic. So to Dr. Sconzo and the board members and administrators, teachers, parents, and I see some students here as well. This year marked the 6th year of the Humble ISD Golf Classic, and it was definitely one to remember for any of you that was there. There were blistering cold winds, okay, and I heard reports of sleet, and I wouldn't doubt it, okay, but nothing could stop the dedication of our golfers. We had 512 registrants for the golf tournament, and 92% braved the weather and went out on the course despite no nature. So we did have a great turnout, even though the weather didn't cooperate with us. But this event could not happen without the support of the community and all of our sponsors. Sponsors see the vision and understand not only the cost of running golf programs here at ISD, but that golf is a sport that teaches our students honor, sportsmanship, being part of a team, handling successes and lots of failures. If you play golf, you know what I'm talking about. And learning the skills of a sport that will be valuable to each of these 177 student golfers that we have into their professional careers. With the generosity of our sponsors, Fry Daddy's Foundation returned as our title sponsor, and Showbiz Cinemas became our VIP banner sponsor this year. And along with many others, Charity Golf International, Diamonds in the Rough, Golf Cars of Houston, Memorial Herman, Rigo's Kitchen, Sterling McCall Honda, 3Bs, Italianos, and Texan Live, a whole list of other community supporters. We not only had record numbers in sponsors and attendance, but also in revenues, and I'll get to that in a minute. If it were not for the support of the community, this program would not thrive. One of our new sponsorships that we had this year was to be able to have a flag out on the course. We have 4 courses. And our very first ever golf flag sponsor was Dr. Sconzo. So I do have your flag tonight. And this is the flags that we had representing all of our sponsors out on the course this year. So you get to keep this one. Okay. The 2014-2015 year in Humble ISD Golf came with a lot of successes. We are proud to announce the following accomplishments. We have a district individual champion, Parker Holekamp from Kingwood. We have district team champions, our Lady Panthers from Kingwood Park. We also had 2 district medalists. We have regional team champions with 1st, 2nd, and 3rd individual place awards going again to our Lady Panthers. 4 players on 1st all-team regional, 3 players 1st team all-state, 2 players 2nd team all-state, a 3rd place state medalist, Hannah Alberto from Kingwood Park, and we have our Queens of the Course, team state champions from Kingwood Park, Gabby Segura, Tori Gatling, Hannah Alberto, Lexi Rooks, and Ariana Sands. And we have 1 Coach of the Year, Angela Chancellor. Also from the tournament, we were able to award 2 memorial scholarships in the memory of lost teammates. Our scholarship winners were Alyssa Holbrook from Atascocita and Emma Ballard from Kingwood, both of whom are prepared to continue their golf careers at the college level. Alyssa will be attending Schreiner, and Emma will be going to Texas Tech. And we've had a whole host of other golfers that are in college now or have graduated, being Humble ISD golfers at the college level. Tonight we have representatives from each of the programs to bring you some great news. From Atascocita, Mitchell Davis and Nicole Dillon. From Kingwood, district champion Parker Holekamp and Ashlyn Ross. From Kingwood Park, Michael Dean and state champion Tori Gatling. The history of the Humble ISD Golf Classic has been one of success. In the past 6 years, the tournament has been able to raise in excess of $325,000 for the district golf programs. One of these funds, $50,000 was used for training aids, equipment, scorecard holders, a putting green, instruction, and continued education for our coaches. The remaining $265,000, including our contribution tonight, are given back to the Humble ISD Athletic Department. This is to offset the expensive cost of the golf programs, tournament fees, transportation, and tournament hosting expenses. On behalf of the student golfers, the coaches, and all we golf parents, we are pleased and proud, very proud to present to you, the board, a check in the amount of $65,000. If you guys could stand up, and the coaches go over there, can we get a picture? You guys get in front of the board members? Tonight, after 5 years involvement with the Humble ISD Golf Classic, I will be passing the torch to the new chairman, Kendra Heather. Kendra has a Lady Mustang at Kingwood High School. It is bittersweet as I understand the importance of this event to the success of the future of the golf programs. It has become near and dear to my heart, and I will always support the program and Humble ISD Golf Classic. I'm excited that after all the blood, sweat, and tears, I'll be able to step out of the clubhouse and onto the course next year, and I get to play. So I will see all of you on the course Monday, February the 15th, 2016, which is 279 days away. And we will see all of you out there. Thank you.
Okay, we have one more person who'd like to speak. Reese Grayson. Sorry, Reese, I did. Want to make sure that was an R. And he wants to speak on dress code policy.
Hi, to introduce myself, my name is Reese Grayson, and I am a junior at Kingwood High School. Next year, I will have the privilege to be a senior class president of Kingwood High School, and I'm very excited to be serving Kingwood with the rest of my students. Today, I'm here to try to improve the acceptance and comfortability within Humble ISD for teachers and students regarding specifically the policy stating that only females can wear earrings and males cannot. I think specifically this is a rule that garners a lot of weight regarding gender equality and violates a lot of problems when it comes to that. But specifically, what I think separates me apart from the people who have come before you regarding dress code is simply the legal arguments that come with this, having this gender distinction in our handbook. Specifically, looking at the many ethical, legal, and logical reasons why we shouldn't have this rule, I want to look at the past of where we had in 2012 in Alabama, Jefferson County Independent School District, where they had the same gender distinction that we had in the past. SPLC, the Southern Poverty Law Center, represented a student and went to the board and tried to get him to change and sent a letter stating that it was unconstitutional to have a gender distinction like this. The board quickly realized that it was unconstitutional on many needs to have a rule like this and quickly repealed it. The same thing as we can remember 2 years ago, we had a student in Spring High School who wanted to wear a dress to prom but was not allowed because he was male. This is specifically important because the ACLU represented him and got a situation where they asked the district to change their mind, and the district did realize their actions were unconstitutional, and they quickly changed their decision. Another situation we had was a situation in McMillian versus Itawamba School District in 1993, where we had a situation where a girl wanted to wear a tuxedo to prom but was not allowed. This was very important because this was an actual court case. It ended up the district lost over $80,000 in court fees for the fact that it was a gender equality issue. In all of these cases, it has been cited with the Education Amendments of 1972, Title IX, stating that no federally funded district can discriminate on the basis of gender. The same thing goes of Des Moines Independent School District versus, I think, Tinker of 1969, stating that no school district, that students are constitutionally protected on freedom of expression as long as it does not materially disrupt the work that we are doing. I think that's very important because it has been used in the past in all court cases to show that it's not a distraction when males do wear earrings in the education environment. The same thing goes in the past 20 years, it has always been cited with gender equality, so it really does hold a legal liability for this district that I think is very important to address. The same thing goes where I want to touch on, if we look at the 14 big districts around us, we can look at 12 out of 14 districts do not have this gender distinction, which I think is very important, that I think Humboldt ISD can be that next one when there's big districts such as Houston, Fort Bend, Montgomery, Clear Creek, Spring, who do not have that distinction. Besides the legal reasons to change this, I think there's also a real pressing issue for the ethical reasons to change this. Not too recently, I had 2 students of mine who were asked to remove their earrings, but they were female. This seems like it's different than what the policy is intended, but what happened was the students were mistaken for male by accidentally by the teachers, and it was unfortunate, and it ended up being offensive and exclusionary and disregarding, and it was very offensive, even though it was an accident. I also do realize as we move into 2015, we have a growing presence in our students of a transgender community. And I always ask, how do we address this rule when we have students who are transgender? Do we continue to keep the policy and disregard their pursuit for an identity that is ulterior to their biological sex, or do we keep it? I think it's a really pressing issue. Additionally, in the past, I've often seen that I love my administration. I worked with them for the past 4 years in creating things and fundraising and doing a great job. And I know I have a phenomenal administration at Kingwood High School. They do a great job. But I don't think students quite realize that. I think often students get caught up in the fact that administration is required to enforce these dress code issues that a lot of times students see as unnecessary. And when they see them as unnecessary, they don't see the great job that administration is often doing. And they often just see that they're enforcing dress code policies that students see as unnecessary. And I think it can help a lot of teachers in making that feel like that you're closer to your students, and the administration and students feel closer together, and not as much of this distinction and separation between the two. Before as time ends here, I want to make the clear distinction that I'm not here asking for an overhaul of the dress code system. I don't even want earrings myself, but rather I'm just asking for gender equality, and I'm asking for comfortability and acceptance in our Humboldt ISD, and hope that we can get that changed very soon. I really do appreciate for everyone listening and let me address the board, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Reese. Very well stated. No other public comments, so we will move to, I'm not going to forget, which is board start with board minutes, and I think I'll start to the left. Ms. Conrad.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just wanted to mention a word of thanks. Of course, I'm super excited about the HEB Excellence in Education Award. So there's so many people that were involved in making that happen. Lisa, which is our public information department. Thank you for submitting the application. And I only know what we went through as a board and part of the interview process with the panel. So I just want to thank everyone that had part of the visitations with the panels, and we don't even know what all was going on behind the scenes, but I know it was a big rush through the process, and a lot of people took part in that, so thank you, and we really appreciate that. And then I would also just like to thank you, Mr. President, for your service to our community, and I know that your skills and experience have been crucial to the board and the success that we've had as a district, and appreciate your leadership for your tenure. And we got to serve with you for 2 years, but learned a lot, and so I just want to thank you for your service.
No comment.
You know, if there's ever a day that makes it worth going through 7 days of early voting and election day from 7 to 7, it is a night like tonight. Just the stage that ISD was on tonight with the recognition, the student achievements, just phenomenal. It makes me very proud to be a small part of this district. And so thank you everyone for what you do to participate in these activities and helping these recognitions possible. Just really awesome night tonight. So it's been a pleasure to sit up here and just see this unfold tonight. And so I appreciate those efforts. To you, Robert, certainly will be missed. Enjoyed my last 2 years. Certainly, you know, have been learned a lot in my first 2 years. That's with you and your leadership and helping us along the way. So certainly appreciate that very much. Good luck with your
future. First, Beth Davis, she comes here every year to tout the golf programs. It's you know, all the work that she's done behind the scenes. It's just a great job. So I'd like to recognize Beth Davis for everything. And Reese Grayson. It started getting Sadie here. It's just wonderful to see a child react to a situation of such tragedy like that, and have him recognized like that is just a wonderful thing. That was Bear Kitty. Excuse me, I got those confused. Reese, my notes are confused. I guess it threw me for a loop because my son was about his age and he lost one of his best friends, and so just melancholy set in with me. So it's Bear Kinney that did that. I want to make sure you recognize the right guy, Bear Kinney. Reese, what I was going to say about you. Are you still here? Okay. If I had my power to impose on the district, we would be wearing uniforms, and no one would be wearing uniforms. But thank goodness I don't have power to do that. I'm kidding, but only half. But thank you for your comments. I don't know if you are going to law school. That's my profession, and I think you'll do very well if you decide to do that. Last but certainly not least, I want to thank my friend, Robert Scarfo. If you guys don't know our history, we certainly didn't start off as necessarily friends, but we certainly became that way. And Robert has been very valuable to this district. People don't know that, but it started even before he was elected to the board. He's been a volunteer. He's been somebody who's cared about this district. And when elected to the board, he treats it as basically a full-time job. It's amazing the amount of work he has put in and the value that he's contributed to not only this board but also to the district. And a perfect example of this is when we gave raises, it was 2 years ago. A lot of work went into that behind the scenes, crunching numbers, discussions, and committee. And the person that carried the lion's share of that water, other than the board was Robert. And that's just what he does. He doesn't sit here and tout his own horn or toot his own horn, and doesn't brag about those things he does. He just does them because it's really his nature. So Robert, I want to thank you for everything that you've done. We want to thank you for your friendship. And I just wish you luck. And I know you'll be around the district because that's just who you are. And we just look forward to maintaining that friendship. Thank you.
All right. Well, they're not here, but I want to thank the HEB folks for what a great night that was, and what an honor. And to be up for School Board of the Year and School District of the Year was huge. We met a lot of friends that night. Our friends from Arlington ISD. They won the School Board of the Year, and they were also up for School District of the Year. And so we had a little friendly banter between the two of us, and several of us have been to conferences with those folks, and they do a great job. And I'm so proud to be part of an organization that's thought of in the way that Oval ISD was thought of by the HEB folks that night. And I know it was already said, but a lot of work behind the scenes from Jamie Mountain and her staff to put forth the application, and then all the folks that came to both interview processes. They were impressed. They were impressed, and so that makes me feel good, and that makes all of us feel good to be part of this organization when they can go to our different schools and visit with our kids. I think, Dr. Scott, you told me a story about one of the panel gentleman lives in the Woodlands, and he saw some kids from Kansas and he just pulled them off to the side and just informally talked to them beyond the interview that we'd already gone through. And after the award, he went to Dr. Sconzo and said, y'all got some class kids, some really class kids. So, you know, that's why we do what we do. That is why we do what we do. That's why we endure 7 days of early voting and 7 to 7 on election day. And so that's a good segue. I want to congratulate Mr. Rushing. And I also want to congratulate Nancy Morrison, who's in the audience. She'll be coming up and taking the oath a month from now, and she'll be an asset to our organization, to our group. So Nancy, congratulations. And lastly, I want to talk about my partner over here. And I say that, and some people would ask me, they'd go, God, don't you and Robert Scarpo hate each other? And I said, no, we really don't, but we've had our battles. And we talked about this in the back before we came out, that we have had our battles over the years. But I respect you. I respect your dedication. I respect your hard work. The one thing I've learned from you is as we talked back there, one of my first meetings, some of you may remember, I threw a bunch of papers and just acted like a total idiot up here because I was supposed to vote on something that I really had no idea what we were even talking about. And I learned right then and there, if you want to know something, you can start asking questions and be prepared. And Robert, I learned that from you and Dave Martin. And so for that, I appreciate you. I appreciate what you brought to this board. The balanced budget, the new budgeting process, I guess the thoroughness when we were looking at bonds and working with Ms. Lynn and her group, your leadership there, that will be missed. Appreciate it.
Yes, thank you, sir. Briefly, Reese, that was very impressive. Thank you for your presentation. I am so glad my two daughters are not near as persuasive as you. I would never have an argument around their house ever. But thank you. I'm sure it was something to think about. I'll also congratulate our winners, Keith. I'm glad you're going to be around. And Heath, for the election as well. And Nancy, I look forward to working with you. Enjoy meeting your supporters, your husband, your son. Very impressive. Look forward to chatting with you next month. Last but not least, Robert. Man, oh man, what are we gonna do that, Rob? No. My favorite story about Robert Scarfo, I've told this before, is when I was running and he was running back in 2008. I was running for Jim Eggers' open seat. He was running for Glenn Field's open seat. And there was a period of time where I could have switched to run against Robert, or he could have vice versa. But I decided to run for my position and his. And I told my wife about that. And one day my phone rang. It was my wife. And the first thing she said was, "You are a genius." I'm thinking, finally, she has seen the light. I said, "Why am I a genius?" She said, "I'm driving around Kingwood and there's 1,000,000 Robert Scarfo says. He would have slaughtered you." So suddenly I went from high to low. But you've been a great, great asset. A great friend. Appreciate your service. Thanks. Miss you.
Well, I'll just quickly say, Reese, as I said, great job up there. Very eloquent, very well prepared. Good job. It makes me proud to know you're one of our students and can speak persuasively. I just want to thank you, all of my colleagues, for the time and for the kind words. I appreciate that very much. It's a lot of fun. It's been a lot of fun. Hope to see you guys staying involved in the district in different ways. We'll see where that leads. Right now, it leads to my friend, as I won't leave you out, as I have done a couple of times this year, and I apologize for that again, but we'll have comments for the administration. Hopefully,
I do, and they will be brief, but very, very heartfelt. Keith, congratulations. I'm sure we get to continue to work with you, and Keith, congratulations again. I breathe a big sigh of relief that you were not opposed and thrilled that I get to continue to work with you. Nancy, welcome. You worked for a very, very long time to be an important part of making this district what it is. And now you'll get to see it from another perspective. So I'm eager to get to work with you, and congratulations on your election. And Robert, I'm honored that, this is a little scary. I'm honored that you're my 14th president. And you've been a great president. And I appreciated your friendship, which I hope will continue. And to me, the worst thing about your leaving the board is the Italian population at this table is going to decrease by 50%. But thank you for the service that you've given to our district. It's been very, very significant. And I think Keith is very right. I certainly pray that Keith is right, that service really is not going to stop. There'll be lots of opportunities for helping out, and I know Robert will be there for us.
I appreciate that. And with that, I guess we will go to our items. Ms. Conrad from closed session. Give us some motion.
President, as to the contract renewals, I move that the board approve the superintendent's contract recommendations presented in the contract renewal listing dated May 12, 2015, for school year 2015-16 of administrators, teaching professionals, and non-teaching professionals. To 1, renew or issue certain one-year term contracts. 2, renew or issue certain probationary contracts. And 3, renew or issue certain part-time contracts.
Second. Okay, we have a second. Any discussion on those items? All those in favor? 7-0, Michelle.
As to the termination of probationary contracts, I move that the board approve the superintendent's recommendations presented in the contract non-renewal listing dated May 12, 2015, for school year 2015-2016, that it is in the best interest of the district to terminate the employment contracts of certain employees currently employed under a probationary contract and authorize the superintendent to send appropriate notice of the board's intention to terminate the probationary contracts at the end of the 2014-15 school year.
Second.
Second. Any discussion? All those in favor? 7-0.
And as to the non-renewal of term contracts, I move that the board approve the superintendent's recommendation presented in the contract non-renewal listing dated May 12, 2015 for school year 2015-16 for the non-renewal of the employment contracts of certain certified professional full-time employees currently under a term contract, and authorize the superintendent to send the appropriate notice of proposed non-renewal and to schedule a hearing if requested, and to do all other things necessary related to preparing for and holding such a meeting.
Second.
We have a second. Any discussion? All those in favor? 7-0. Now we'll move to minutes.
Actually,
Oh, is there one more?
as to the non-renewal termination of part-time contracts, I move that the board approve the superintendent's recommendations presented in the contract non-renewals listing dated May 12, 2015 for school year 2015-16, that the district should not reissue the employment contracts of certain employees currently employed under a part-time contract, and authorize the superintendent to advise such employees that their employment with the district will terminate at the end of the current contractual period.
Second.
We have a second. Discussion? All those in favor? 7-0.
Mr. President, as to the non-renewal termination of contracts for certification reasons, I move that the board approve the superintendent's recommendations presented in the contract non-renewals listing dated May 12, 2015 for school year 2015-16, that the district should not reissue the employment contracts of certain employees currently employed under contract due to certification reasons, and authorize the superintendent to advise such employees that their employment with the district will terminate at the end of the current contractual period.
We have a second. Any discussion? All those in favor? 7-0.
Mr. President, as to the regular personnel agenda, I move that the board approve the remaining personnel recommendations recommended by the superintendent as presented in a closed session with addendum.
We have a second. Any discussion? All those in favor? 7-0. To the minutes.
As to the minutes, I move that the board approve the minutes for the regular board meeting held on April 14, 2015.
Any discussions on the minutes? Any changes? Additions? All those in favor, as presented? And any abstentions? Mr. Sid.
As to the minutes, I move that the board approve the minutes for the special meeting and workshop held on April 28, 2015.
Second. Any discussion on those minutes? All those in favor? And any abstentions? One abstention. Okay. That completes those, Ms. Conrad? Okay. Now we'll move to go through our updates before we get to the consent agenda. Update on board associations and committees, and we'll start with the audit committee.
No report.
No report. Board superintendent evaluation process and polls committee.
Report, we'll have one next week first.
Okay. Building planning.
Just a brief report. We had a great meeting last week. Just report that all the land purchases are pretty close. Everything was going smoothly. I heard. So that's great. And Turner Stadium, is it, we're 99% complete, is it 100 now? Right, okay. So they're really close. They gave us a great presentation at the meeting. It looks like a beautiful job that they're doing, and so that's where we're close to. Good, thanks.
Great. Education Foundation. Anything?
Sorry, I wasn't concentrating. No report for the Education Foundation.
Finance Committee, we had a meeting this afternoon, and we are ready and prepared to recommend to the board to budget for adoption. And I have to say, the way it stands now, will be our third non-budgeted budget in a row. That's good. So, but we'll see. Everybody will have their opportunity, because the budget workshop and potential adoption meeting will be on May 28th. was one of the page right now. Okay, and next, Mr. Rushing, legislative.
Yes, a couple of updates. Good news out of Austin is that there is a budget that is in conference committee, so we'll see where that lands. The pre-K bill that you've heard us talk about, certainly been slowing down for a little while. Also, heading to conference committee, right there, very, very close. Paid attention here this week, I believe it was, late last week. Senate Bill 149 was signed into law by the governor, which actually affects approximately 150 of our seniors here at ISD. So that is the bill in which it was determined that if an individual senior has failed one or two end-of-course exams, there are some other means, some alternative things that can come into consideration for the review committee that can allow that senior to graduate. And so I'm probably not doing it full justice in terms of how I just described it, but that's where I would leave it. That's my update.
Thank you, Mr. Rushing. Come back on. Mr. Sitton, program evaluation.
We finished up our first round of the year with the K group, and very interesting to hear. Is it doctor now? Is that right? Yeah, Dr. Morse. He just got his doctorate this year, so I'm just confused. But anyway, we have listen to his vision and his excitement, and getting headed in the right direction. So that was really good. But that's really all I have to report on that. But we will be getting with Ms. Young about picking a date in June to hold a workshop. We've got a lot of exciting things that we want to share with the rest of the board and some recommendations that we need to talk about. And so that'll come in June, towards the end of June, I would imagine. But a lot of things happening, a lot of things on the horizon, and I will leave it at that at this point in time.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Conrad, technology and data governance.
I report that we have none.
Okay. Hold on, what we got going on? Okay, now we can move to our consent agenda. And Mr. Conrad, if you would follow along with me, so everything that we need to put into the consent agenda motion. Okay, first, we have no items in the governance considerations. Under Superintendent's Division, we have item A, fire alarm system services, maintenance and repairs. Consent. Item B, surveillance system replacement and upgrade. Consent. And under learning division, reports, considerations, and purchases, we have item A, exception to class size limits waiver for Spanish immersion. Consent. Item B, instructional material allotment, antique certification. Consent. Item C, purchase and installation of a redundant data backup system. Consent. Item D, professional development for the Lake Houston Math and Science Collaborative. Continuing, item E, Energy Park for the 2016 graduations. Consent. Item F, Master AV Equipment and Installation Services. Cool. Item G, NWN Corporation for a district-wide wireless as a service enablement fee. Ski range.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good. That's just easy. Item H, International Center for Leadership and Education. Item I, SHI Professional Development License for Atomic Learning. Okay. Now we move to Finance and Service Division. Item A, tax refunds. Consent. Waiver of principal and interest. Consent. Item C, budgetary amendments. Item D, property and casualty insurance program.
Individual.
Did we pull budgetary? We did, okay, I thought I'd make sure I marked it right. Item D. Continuing item E, audit software and financial system forms and related services. Consent. No items under human resources. Support services division. We have item A, meal price increase. Individual. Item B, Kingwood Park High School natatorium HVAC installation and closeout. Interlocal, item C, interlocal cooperation contract for the purchase of natural gas. Consent. Item D, Park Act disposable paper goods. Consent. Item E, natural gas purchase increase at 6 secondary campuses. Consent. Item F, refrigeration parts and supplies. Consent. Moving down to district-wide reports and considerations and purchases. Item A, bulk soft drinks and water. Item A. Consent. And item B, instructional materials, sale and/or disposal. Consent. Okay. Ms. Conrad, if you can put those in the form of a motion for us.
Mr. President, as to the consent agenda, I move that the board approve the following items by consent. Under Superintendent's Division, items A and B. Under Learning Division, items A, B, C, and E. Under Financial Services Division, items A, B, and E. Under Support Services Division, items B, C, D, E, F. And under district-wide, items A and B.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Now we're going to go back to the individual items. And I believe the first one is under Learning Division. Item D, professional development for late use of math and science classes.
Second.
Discussion? Sorry.
Okay, so I just had a couple of questions on the late use and science.
Yeah.
Just a couple of questions just to understand the collaborative, and maybe I'm not throwing much in, I guess, why it comes to our project. Maybe we can explain, are we just a host? Do we have when you mentioned the program directors, is that our people, are the program directors for that? Are teachers involved, or it sounds like it's a collaborative of multiple districts? I just want to make sure I understand what's the benefit of compliance and kind of why are we voting on this?
It is a grant program. We are the host district and the fiscal agent district, so all the grant funds come to us and we administer the grant. It does involve professional development not only of our teachers, but teachers from surrounding school districts, though I do want to point out that by far the project serves mostly Humble ISD teachers. The other participating districts are much smaller districts, and so while they participate, the numbers of people, their people involved, really pale by comparison. So effectively, we manage the project.
Any other discussion? Been moved and seconded, so all those in favor? Let's stay. Next item is administrative technical social services. So, mass baby and social services. Motion, second.
So moved.
Second. Okay. Ms. Conrad?
Yes, I have a question, particularly as relates to the installation of the phonic ear system for 20 classrooms at River Pines Elementary. And this is coming from the Technology Services Department, I think. From my understanding, it's, phonic ear was a standard for new campuses, or standard at the time that new campuses were open, and so that money would come from FFE. So I'm curious why now this is coming from Technology Services budget. Campus didn't opt to install computer technology using those funds and Technology Services.
Yeah, to be honest, I don't recall the specifics with River Pines. I do know that Tech Services or Technology Services is taking on the responsibility for not only repair, but also replacement, refreshing of equipment, if you will, as it relates to phonic ear, ceiling mounted projectors, clickers is what I call them. It was a fancy technology name for that. But they're taking the responsibility for all that. Mr. Allen, do you know offhand, as it relates to River Pines, are these refreshed sets or are they new sets?
These are new sets.
So they were never installed in
Never installed.
the first place. There are clearly more than 20 classrooms at River Pines, many more classrooms than 20. So I suspect in the initial construction, although again, obviously, I apologize, I don't recall. Apparently the specs did not call for installation of all of them. Hence, there is no project bond funds remaining to use for that purpose.
I guess my concern is going forward, that a campus may choose not to install phonic ear, and then it becomes part of Technology Services budget to pick that up.
That's a fair concern. Phonic ear is a standard. And I'll mess up the sequence of new campuses, but I can pretty easily work backwards. So Atascocita Springs is completely equipped. Lakeshore is completely equipped. Ridge Creek is completely equipped. Help me, Fall Creek is completely, I don't know what happened at River Pines. It could have been, and this is really a guess, but it really could have been a quote value engineering move at the time to bring the project in within budget. But so fair concern in my opinion, but most recently, past 5-6 years, going forward, elementary 28, 29, 30, it's a standard, all classrooms are.
So we go back and get campuses that don't have it, like Shadow Forest and
Shadow Forest is,
Shadow Forest is.
oh yeah. Northbelt is equipped, Lakeland is equipped. I mean, I would have said to you this evening, all of them are, and I apologize, I just was not familiar with Little Pines information. I'm sorry, Dick?
They're all equipped, except for
So then to Ms. Conrad's point, it's not something that, as far as initiative.
No, because it's really not a campus choice.
Any other discussion? Ms. Conrad, satisfied? Okay, if no other discussion, all those in favor? Okay, and next is the NWN Corporation for District-Wide Wireless as Service enablement. Need a motion and a second. Okay, and we can discuss.
So that's me again.
All right.
So this is just for the enablement fee, so we'll see the contract in June.
That's great.
I guess my questions aren't really, they're more related to our implementation. It says we're expected to have our secondary campuses completed over the summer. So I'm just curious about our implementation of that. What's going to be the effect of those currently connected devices when they go to reconnect to the network? Will they offer it? Will we be using that? How is that going to work, I guess, in practice? Is that's going to happen over the summer, right?
Yes, let me speak to the implementation of that contract. And then, Mr. Allen, I'm going to turn to you. This is getting way too technical for me. But the implementation of all of the high schools will be equipped and ready to go over the summer. That will be followed by the middle schools, which will likely take us through mid-fall before they're all equipped and up and running.
Probably not mid-fall, because as we approach the middle schools, we will also be taking in some elementary campuses to kind of balance the workload for the contract.
But safe to say, according to the contractor, by the first of the year, by January 1st, all campuses will be up and running. High schools in time for the start of the new school year, everybody else no later than January 1st.
So does this coincide with our implementation of AirWatch?
No, AirWatch is more tied to our Active Directory implementation. So to answer your other question about, well, how will we connect when we get back? You don't connect based on the physical hardware that we have. You connect based upon the IP addresses, and we'll have the same IP addresses. We'll have the same network. So the handheld network will still be there when we get back. Guest network will still be there. We will probably have some other networks that we segregate a little further, but those existing networks will not go away. So when people come back, the devices will hook in.
And if I may, Mr. Earl, take advantage of you, just to test my own memory relative to implementation. So that one of the big advantages to this will be that, and this is a question.
Yeah.
Currently, we have a wireless access point, one access point roughly per 4 classrooms.
Yes.
With this implementation, we will have one wireless access point per 145 classroom.
Correct.
So it's a much, my terminology, much more robust wireless access environment. Did that sound clear?
It did. I mean, it's robust and good.
That's as good as it gets.
Any other?
Just, that covers a lot. I know to have the networks remain. I think that was the question first. I know they had to be touched physically.
Motion and a second, any discussion? All those in favor? And next is item H, International Center for Leadership and Education, ICLA.
So moved.
Please discuss. Ms. Conner, I wasn't sure that Ms. Petty had.
Okay, go ahead.
So regarding this item, clearly I support the need for this. I'm curious why we fall under technology services, since this is a curriculum integration and instructional strategies item.
And I really just think that's a function of it, and Dr. Price, so please jump in. But I think that's really more not a function, but more an exhibiting of how technology services and curriculum and instruction have not only collaborated to plan for the needed professional development and to plan for ultimately the kinds of new equipment that will need to be purchased, but they've also pooled resources, both from the standpoint of FTEs, pooling staff resources, and pooling fiscal resources. So
As part of us, we moved as three technology instruction technologists from the technology department over to instruction. We get funds. So that's followed with it, and that's what that's for.
So this is part of that. I guess my concern is that pulling from technology services, which should be supporting infrastructure, and we can't integrate and provide more professional development, and things aren't working.
It was just the process of where they were located when this first started. First became interested in getting the facility involved in the technology part to where we were looking at how this was done next year.
plus, I think I would predict that you'll see most, if not all, of our recommended infrastructure spending related to fund balance assignments, which will be coming in June to the full board.
None of that impacted by it.
Exactly.
If there's no other discussion, all those in favor? Okay, 7-0. And the last thing in this group, item I, SHI Professional Development License for Electronic Learning.
Second.
So this is really the same question. I felt like this should be coming from professional development instead of technology services.
Well, from the technology services perspective, one of the things obviously I'm concerned about, if I'm going to invest all of the funds that we are in this technology, I need to be sure that people can use it. And that's why I see it as part of our process, because it doesn't do me any good to roll out the technology if I don't also provide some means for people to learn how to use it. And one of the things, if you look at our teacher surveys at both levels, one of the things that everybody wants is they want more technology training. So the question becomes is, well, how do they get that training, and when do you release them to provide that training? So again, in conjunction with the curriculum plan and the professional development plan, as well as my plan, we all have kind of a similar goal in terms of getting more technology integrated into the curriculum and using more technology throughout the district. So it really is to me, a natural occurrence that I have the funding to do it. When you look at what percent this is, say, the monies that I'm going to spend to deploy the technology, I think it's a good investment for technology services.
I wouldn't disagree with you, but I'd ask Ms. Lynn, how easy it is to keep track of what's being spent in technology services or operations on professional development? Because if you want to capture how much are you spending on professional development overall, and what kind of return are you getting on that overall investment, is that kind of muddy the waters? Because no argument that you need to have those things. It's a question of how you can go back and look at the data so that you can use it to drive decisions. And that would be my only question as, I hear you, but maybe it's not that the best way to do it. Does that make it more complicated?
so you want those funds to be spent on infrastructure and making sure that things are working properly. So professional development, I understand that that's where money's left right now. I don't want to next year get complaints about, well, we can't even access it. We don't have enough workstations or, we don't have enough bandwidth.
Well, I won't sit here this evening and guarantee that you won't get any complaints. But I will sit here this evening and guarantee that we absolutely agree with your concern. And we're very, very sensitive to that. What we're really, from my perspective, trying to do is within limited resources, balance how we're spending. Not only on infrastructure, not only on professional development, not only on, but really trying to do a little bit of all of the above. And again, I really appreciate the heartburn about potentially sacrificing infrastructure, but we're not. You're just not seeing that, and you haven't seen it yet. In all fairness, you will see it within the next month related to recommended fund balance assignments.
Mr. Rushing? That's actually most of the questions. But the most important part, at least from my perspective, is having tracking so that if we do have issues, we can go back and say that, you know, that basically goes through the sauce that the tracking system. So, not sacrificing the infrastructure that we talked about in our technology.
And please remember that, I'm sorry, for everyone's benefit, please remember that on May 28th, you'll hopefully make a commitment to $1.3 million on an annual basis in our operating budget. And that's directly related and solely related to a wireless infrastructure throughout the district that we otherwise would never be able to afford. So it's not only assigned fund balance, it's also through a leasing, I think a pretty innovative leasing arrangement, and that we're addressing infrastructure needs.
Well, not to belabor the point, but when we had our technology workshop, that was the one thing that I pointed out when we were talking about do we lease, do we buy, and this, that, and the other. I was pretty adamant about, you know, why are we buying devices when we can't run them on our campuses? And so I'm really anxious to see the assignments of fund balance and how that's going to work with the infrastructure side, because we're allocating a lot of money for I guess devices and other things here that are gonna come together as long as those fund balance assignments are in the right way. So I'm going to trust that y'all are going to bring that to us in a comprehensive way that we can put it on here.
That is the plan.
So we're actually going to have a technology plan. We do. All right, that's discussion for you. All right, that's not on the agenda, so I can't talk about it tonight. All right, we're done. We'll deal with that.
Is there any other discussion? If not, there we are. Okay, all those in favor? Opposed? I'm gonna go back to governance reports and consideration. We have one report, and that's the proposed policy FC local. Any questions on that report that you have for Dr. Scondo? I'm sorry, any question on that report on the governance proposed policy FC local?
Question.
Yes.
This whole boundary change that we're talking about.
This would be the first ever local policy governing school attendance areas, yes.
So are we going to be voting on this as an action item against the board meeting?
Thank you, Mr. Cunningham. Yes, the intent would be to bring this back to the June board meeting for your consideration and action.
I looked at some of the reasonings, Dr. Scott, when I'm looking at the very first one where it says that we try to do neighborhood schools. Are we really going to try to do that based on our growth and proposed building locations?
Well, I want us to try to do that, and to the extent that it's possible, I believe that's a criterion that we should strive to achieve. I think history teaches us, and certainly with rapid growth going forward, it's not a criterion I can say is absolute, that every neighborhood will be able to stay together attending a certain elementary school or middle school or high school. But that is a very sincere, legitimate goal. The other problem with that, again, just in the spirit of candor, is the term neighborhood is a very relative term, and many definitions get applied to that depending on the individual viewing their perception of what is the neighborhood. Is it a subdivision? Is it the entire development? Is it my square block? I mean, but I do think that as a stated goal, it's something that we try to accomplish.
Are we going to look to probably strengthen or put a little more teeth into the transfer?
Yes, and
with the boundaries, we're looking at this here because I've gotten a lot of calls from especially parents saying Wood Creek with the number of transfers already this year that are coming from the middle school. And I'm just saying, once we look at this, I mean, will that come into play?
It does. Recognize that employees' children have been, and I would recommend continue to be given the option to attend any school that the employee chooses to enroll that child. In my mind, that has everything to do with, at least for our employees, putting them in a place where a parent can be working at a place physically closest to where their child is going to school. So that's an area of transfers that I would not recommend putting any restrictions on or teeth in. There are also a number of transfers that occur for very necessary and legitimate reasons as it relates to the child or the children involved in a situation. Again, I would not recommend pulling back on those kinds of transfers. However, in a period of rapid growth, any other kinds of transfer requests, yes, Mr. Cunningham, need to be and work toward being tighter about approvals.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Sconzo. I will probably, if it's all right, Mr. President, if I have some more questions, I'll just send them to the superintendent, since we will be voting on this next month.
Okay. Yes, sir. Yes.
So, really, I have been working with Ms. Atwood and Dr. Brown on putting it together, but what we've used is not only TASB as a reference or a resource, but also some of the Region 4 district policies.
Yes, sir. Mr. Sidney.
I know that the grade level assistant soups have been working on higher transfer requests and so forth, the lottery systems and things like that. Could you get us some information about what they're doing, how they're handling the transfers?
Sure. We'll get that out.
Any other questions for Dr. Sconzo on the report? On information item? Okay. No? Okay. So we'll move now to financial services. We have two items pulled. Item C, budgetary amendments. I need a motion and a second.
Second.
Okay. Discussion?
that was moved because of those two items, which we've already discussed, so I can't.
Okay. All right, any other discussion? Ms. Lopez?
I'm voting all
Oh,
in favor.
you already All those in favor? Okay, 7-0. We'll move to item D, property and casualty insurance program.
So,
Motion moved and seconded. Okay, discussion.
Mr. President, I pulled that just to abstain since we've got several items in there that are tax related in the operation.
Okay. Okay. Okay, no other discussion, and we'll move to a vote. All those in favor? 6 and 1 abstention. And we have reports that you have seen, the financial reports. Any questions for Dr. Scondo, Ms. Lynn? Not, under item F. None, okay. We'll move to, I believe, Tara, this is our last item under support services. This is item A, meal price increases. We have a motion and a second.
Second.
Second, okay. And discussion, Mr. Engel, you have the
Full bit, just about some, just to explain that. Rest of public here, make sure you explain why we're having.
Sure, I'd be happy to. And to be honest, I thought, Mr. Engelhardt, you pulled it so that you could explain and berate the federal government for being involved in
doing this,
in doing this, which in my opinion would be legitimate. Really, under USDA rules and in effect federal law, so it is required that school meal prices meet a formula that's related to the amount of reimbursement the district receives from the federal government for meals, for food served. So the law allows school districts, if any school district were to do that and immediately be in full compliance, that would cause a significant increase in 1 year in school meal prices. Fortunately, the law is sensible enough in this regard. It allows the district to annually phase in and toward meeting that formula requirement. So that's what we're doing. Last year, in compliance with that law, we increased our secondary campus lunch prices by 15 cents. This year, going into next year, 15-16, we're recommending there would be no change to secondary meal prices, but elementary meal prices should not increase in a couple of years, will now increase by 10 cents. However, at the end of the day, the truth of the matter is we are only recommending this increase to be in compliance with federal law.
Any other discussion on this? Motion and second discussion. We'll move to vote. All those in favor? 7-0. Okay, that takes us to our last section, future board business. Is there anything, yes, Ms. Conrad?
I'd like for us to, I don't know if this would be the wording to remain, I just believe it, but the election code allows for us to, because we are at large position, to possibly look at election trustees by cumulative voting.
Do you want to explain what you, I mean, I know what you mean. but-
So basically, the seats are voted on as one race. And so the candidates selected are those that receive the highest number of votes.
Depending on how many races we need.
Right, so if there's 3 seats open, then
8 candidate, 8. Proposing, okay, that's something that we need to use. Okay, anything else?
Yeah, one of the things,
Yes.
talking about the election, and this, Conrad is referring to that section of 11.054, which is already in the education code. Also, I guess, Mr. Incoming President, looking at the voting location. When I first came on board, I worked with the then deputy superintendent, which I don't know if it still requires DOJ approval, but we really need to make it a little bit more accessible for some people to vote. And so keeping in mind what the cost is, we need to look at some things that can be referred to in the committee. I assume it would be the building, board, the superintendent evaluation committee to kind of look at that on the location. One other thing too, switching gears, I did not hear a report come from the advertising committee. Maybe I might have been asleep, but I'd like to see what the revenue has been like for our advertising for this school year, since we're approaching the end of the year. If I can get that report from somebody. That's all I have, Mr. President. Thank you.
Okay. Anything else? All right. I think we've covered everything. Thanks for everybody. I know we went a little longer than we had. Losing tracks. There's a lot of good stuff that happened. Michelle, anything else? Your eyes. Okay. Thank you. That's it. Adjourned. Thank
No, not at this point. I wanted, remember I asked if you all look and see where you're going. And what I will do is, so I'll send you that list. Okay. So